All right, guys, this week I am going to show you some of the most spectacular, cool tricks that it takes to actually take a paint job like this one and turn it into a paint job like this. Ain't that crazy? We're going to cover everything from the way we stripped it, to the epoxy we used, to the type of primer we put on it, to the blocking it with the 320, the guide coat, blocking it in 600, the acid etch primer, the sealer, the base, the clear, everything it takes to actually make this paint look this beautiful, or as beautiful as a Chevelle we just painted. It's sitting right over there. It's going to be epic week. Stick with me this week. You're not going to want to miss it, because now you're going to have all my tricks and the inside scoop on exactly how to do this. Okay, don't forget, before we dig into everything, at the end of each episode, I do a Bible study, because a Bible study changed my life. Now, let's get to making that thing. Dig it in, baby. All right, guys, this is like I call this a hog. It's a DA hog. And what we're gonna do is got 80 grit on it. 80! Use fresh paper. Now, lacquer kind of gets hot. I'm gonna go ahead and adjust it a little bit. So you're basically gonna take this off, and then after you get this clean, you're gonna hit it with a DA. So this is like an 8-inch DA, then we'll go down to like a 4-inch or 3.5-inch DA to tighten it all up. But let's get that stripped. All right, guys, here we are actually in our mixing room. Like, have you ever seen this? So what's happening right now is we're mixing all the paint. I just thought it'd be cool to show you. Anyways, what we're gonna do is, this is an epoxy primer. So you put that on the raw steel. This is a 2-to-1 ratio with the catalyst. We'll mix some of that up. If you want to be super specific, you can use a scale. You can just use a cup, right? Let's get some of that stuff mixed up, because that's what's gonna go on the raw steel. It's gotta sit in the cup and it's gotta get ready. Real quick, just blow it off. This is just a wax and grease remover. Spray it on it, clean it up, wipe it off. Pretty straightforward. Make sure you get it everywhere. And guess what? This dries and that primer sets up. We'll go ahead and throw it on here, let it sit. You can do this at home. All right, guys, this is a blow therm paint booth. It's a downdraft paint booth. If you notice all the grates on the bottom of it, that means the air actually comes around the car and goes down. It's a good one. And this is a DeVilbiss gun. This is a Pro Light, which is a very common gun with a 1.3 tip. We got our epoxy in here, and we're gonna run it at about 20 pounds of pressure. We're gonna throw a couple little light coats on it, and then we're gonna do what's called wet on wet. We're gonna throw on our high build, but when it comes out of the booth, we'll mix up the high build primer and throw it right on top, wet on wet. That way you don't have to scuff it up again. Putting down that epoxy primer, real even coats. And when I talk about wet on wet, what I'm talking about is the fact you let the epoxy primer flash. That means when you're looking at it, the shine kind of goes away. That means it flashed. And then you're gonna go ahead and throw that second layer of the high build primer right on top of it. No scuffing required. All right, guys, this is the most critical part of the process. You take a 320 grit paper with an 8-inch block over the high build primer, and just take your time. You gotta smooth that thing out so it's super flat, and don't push. Gently, gently, just stroke that thing and have it flat and smooth. If you do this part right, it's gonna save you tons of grief in the long run, and it's gonna look super flat. Oh yeah. All right, great tech tip. Here you go. Grass and weed, wax and grease remover. You spray it on here, real light coat. And what we're doing is we're putting a shine on it so we can see if our body work is right. Now you get down real low and real close, so we're looking for waves, any imperfections in it. This is blocked now with 320. If it's smooth like this one is, we're just gonna move right on to 600 and we're gonna block it out. But we're gonna have to do the next trick. Here we go. All right, so we wiped off all the grass. Wow. Wax and grease remover, right? And this is guide coat. All kinds of different people make it. Anyways, you wanna get this stuff all on here. You don't wanna be shy with it. You wanna get it on the thing, because what it does is it sets up a whole coat for you to go ahead and do your 600 blocking. Again, we're looking for low spots. Let's get that covered and get the blocking. You'll see what that does. It's slick. So again, what we're trying to do with that guide coat is trying to find the low spots and any scratches that you may have left from the 320. You don't want any scratches in it before you start putting your sealer and your paint down, because you're gonna see them. Okay, kids, it's ready for the next step. We're gonna use this is a 600 grit paper. Now, this is a flat block, which is a smaller block, because we already shaped it with the longer block when you saw it as we did it, right? But if you wanna go faster, another great tech tip. This has got that soft interface that has a foam interface, and it's got the same material on it. But you can literally just take this thing, and start looking for high spots. What we're doing is by blocking it like this, we're actually just going ahead and looking for the high spots because this thing is so flat, you know what I mean? It's gonna show you every imperfection. All right, let's keep on rolling on that thing. Okay guys, you see these scratches that are in here still? That's why you gotta kind of use the guide coat. And what we're doing is you gotta have all those scratches gone because that 320, although it was flat, is not totally smooth. So check it out. The scratches are gone. But that's what the guide coat actually does. Takes it so you can see all the scratches and look at how much it's better. It's gonna work it a little bit more, but when it's done, it's done. All right guys, what you're looking at here is we actually broke through a little bit as we were doing the body work and that kind of stuff. And we saw that earlier going in. That's okay, but that means we're gonna actually have to go ahead, as I'm putting the wax and grease remover on it, that means we're actually gonna have to go ahead and use a little acid etching priming. But the goal is here that we're gonna shoot acid etch primer, a sealer, a base coat, and a clear coat, all wet on wet, without doing extra work and prep time beforehand. Now, I didn't really have to use the wax and grease because we already know it's straight, but I always like to take, it's a habit of mine, to one last look before we say it's good to go into paint. It looks great. All right, now it gets to go in the booth. We'll tack it off, and we're gonna go ahead and start shooting material. All right, guys, I'm not gonna bore you with mixing up other stuff, but we have to mix up acid etch. Then we gotta put a sealer over the whole thing. Next is you're gonna have color, right? And then you're gonna have your clear. So we'll pre-mix all that stuff, but what's cool is once it's in the booth, man, fire away, baby, fire in the hole. She's gonna come out the other side looking gorgeous. You're gonna flip when you see how flat and smooth that thing looks. I can't wait to reveal it. It's cool. Now I know a lot of this process is gonna look the same because I'm shooting a lot of the same colors, but the first thing that's gonna go down is the acid etching epoxy. That's gonna cover the bare steel. The next is we're gonna throw a sealer over the top of the whole thing. Then we get to go ahead and throw down our color. And last but not least, we're gonna go ahead and throw the clear over the top of it. Now keep in consideration, guys, that you gotta let it flash off but when you're doing a wet on wet. So you look at your text sheets and they will tell you exactly how long you're supposed to wait, but you can see it. When it's totally not shiny, you're good to go. Now we're gonna peel back that beautiful paint job from the original and look at how gorgeous that material looks now. How about that, huh? All right, kids, now that you got my secrets, you understand how we did this. Look at it. This is not even wet sanded and buffed yet, and it looks stunning, right? Speaking of stunning, look at this gorgeous 68 behind me. Not wet sanded, not buffed yet, fresh out of the booth. We let it sit for a while before we wet sanded it and buff. It's just another trick that we do. Anyways, the end of the episodes, I always do a Bible study. I'm gonna invite you to come with me because the Bible study actually changed my life and it changed the way I look at things. Hopefully, the things that we did on the way we process the car and the paint changes the way you look at things too. Anyways, let's dig into the Bible study. Always the best part of the episode. All right, guys, let's dig into what the Word says. I was thinking about it. This week we were talking about the look of the car and how things all kind of come together and how we look at cars and the finish and the details, right? Because that's where the craftsmanship comes into it. There's two verses I want to read to you out of the Bible. This is King James Version. First one is Psalms 19, written by David, which had a lifestyle. I won't even go there. Anyways, Psalms 19:1. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they display knowledge. There is no speech or language where their voice cannot be heard. Their voice goes out into all the earth and their words to the ends of the world. And the other verse is Romans 1:20. Since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that men are without excuse. I love those two verses because it talks about, like, guys, look around you. The beautiful world that God created. The fact that he created you in his image is an amazing, beautiful thing. I think if you take a moment, read the Word of God, and try and soak it in for what it really is, you know, it's going to make a big difference in your life. If you need a Bible, please reach out to me. I'll send it to you for free. I just got off the phone with a friend of mine, Rick, that's got 6 different Bibles. Guys at his work are getting Bibles. Dude, we can do this together. I want to encourage you because God's got a great, beautiful plan for your life. And I'm seeing it unfold in mine. I'm seeing it unfold in Rick's. And I'm inviting you into it so we can do it together. All right. It's been a great episode. Thanks for sharing the time with me because I know your time is valuable, right? And I hope you learned some of the cool things that we did with the cars. All right. Peace out. See you next week. Hey, guys, don't forget, we got StudioHotrods.com. You got consoles and cup holders for Chevelles and Camaros. We got a trans tunnel that you can get from us. We've got the brake booster that's rock star. And then we even got the air filtration system for your vintage air. All right. See you next week.